Hey, everybody. It's your lovely Lotus Blossom Lizzie. And we are going to be doing a junk journal with me in my magazine junk journal. And before we get started, I always like to request that if these are the type of videos that you like to watch, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification button so that you'll be notified when more videos like this one come out. And don't forget to select all when you do your notifications. Okay, I have been having a lot of fun in this book. It kind of gives me the best of both worlds. That is that of mixed media and that of junk journaling. So what I did was took out some text pages that I have because I have a gazillion of them. And I decided to do kind of a spot of collaging. And I used my We Are Memory Keepers tear guide to kind of make some even strips. Now, if you all have been watching me, you know it's not that big of a deal if the strips are not that big at all, or if they're not even, rather. So I just went through and I just ripped enough to do this page. Well, as many as I thought it was, because I didn't count and I didn't measure, and I didn't even know if I had enough until after I got done doing all the beautiful ripping. So I had a little bit of an idea as to what I wanted to do with the page before I got started. And sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes I know, and other times, well, it's a crapshoot, basically. It's a crapshoot because I just get started and I kind of let the page speak to me and tell me what it wants me to do. So in this case, I kind of knew how I wanted the background to be. So I'm going to cover up that beautiful lady back there with lots of paper. And I decided, instead of going horizontally or vertically with gluing this down, that I would do it diagonally. Now, I kind of got the diagonal idea from Rachel at Scrapcraftastic. And she didn't do a collage like this, but she used some washi tape and she put the washi tape down in a diagonal way. And she has some amazing videos. She does planner videos and she also has a junk journal channel. But you can head over to Scrapcraftastic and find her. I love her channel. She's a cool bird, so you all should check her out. So I just used the regular purple school glue to put this down. And if you all didn't see how I made this journal, I'll have a link below as to how I made this journal. Or if you want one like this, I can put one together for you. But when I did the pages, I used some sandpaper and I sanded off that shiny surface on the magazine pages. So that made it easier to glue things down, so things really can kind of catch the page because I kind of gave it a rough surface. So just keep that in mind. I still think the school glue would work even if you didn't sand the pages down, but I really believe that it adhered much better because I gave some extra love to the pages when I created this book. Now, even though I'm very early into this stage, I'm really digging this look. Like I could put this in my regular junk journal and I would be all right with with just this being a background. But y'all know, me being me, I have to go the extra mile when it comes to doing things. So now I'm going to get rid of all this extra stuff on the sides here, and I'm just roughly just ripping it up, using my tear guide to kind of guide where I rip this. Now, if you don't have a tear guide, you can use a regular ruler, would be fine. You probably could even use just any kind of straight edge and you should be fine with ripping things up. Because if you rip it, it's probably going to have a ripped edge anyway. So you don't have to have like a special type of ruler to do this. Now, at first, I was going to leave the top and the bottoms kind of out, but then I decided against it. So let me just go ahead and rip those off too. Y'all look how beautiful that page is. Oh my goodness. That gave me life just doing that in a diagonal way, which is not something I've done before. So now I'm taking out my book of words, and I'll show on a separate video how I made the book of words. But at nighttime sometimes when I want my hands to be kind of busy and I'm watching a little Netflix, I will go into a magazine and cut words out. Now, all of these words came from a free magazine. Sometimes you can find them all around town. You just have to have your eyeballs open to find them. I'm also using some words from my digital kit, which is the wordplay kit that's over at pleasantcreations.com. Now, these are some gel prints that I have here, and I'll be using some of these pieces as well. And I've actually scanned these, and they are a digital kit over at Pleasant Creation also. Now, I'm using the originals because I have the scan, so I'm going to go ahead and use my originals. Now, I did do some jelly printing on some deli paper, and so the deli paper doesn't really go through the punches that well. So what I did was just use some paper along with the gel print and then punched it that way, and I was able to get some circles. Still had a little bit of a finicky time with it, but overall that kind of worked well. Definitely trying to do the punches without the paper didn't really work for me. So that's a little bit of a tip for you. So I used several of the gel prints that I had because I know people ask also when we played with the gel prints and the jelly press, they said, what are you going to, you have all these beautiful prints now. What are you going to do with them? So this is one way that you can use your gel prints. You can make shapes and use them in some other types of layouts, whether they be in your junk journal or in your art journal. Either one, junk journals are art journals to me too. I don't know. You all let me know down below in the comments, do you feel like art journals are different from junk journals? And if you do, let me know how you feel about it. Why is it different to you? I would love to know. So I'm not going to use those white pieces. I thought about using them for something different, but y'all know I have so many scraps of paper. It's ridiculous. So I just kind of laid things out to see if I was going to like where we're going with this. Now, I have to say, those blue circles, y'all, I love the way they came out. I only have 2 punches, and I think one of them is a 2-inch punch, and the other one is like a 5/8 punch or a 1-inch punch. I wish I had some more circle punches, but I don't. But I like the way these came out in any case. So then I also kind of preliminarily went through some of those words that I took out and decided to just kind of see where I wanted to put them before I actually did it, before I actually committed to this. And sometimes it takes a while to go through this whole process, but this is why I sped the video up because sometimes the process is a little long. So I like the way where everything is preliminarily. And I thought that the words still needed a bit of a frame. So I took out my Sharpie pens, and I have quite a few colors of Sharpies, but for this instance, I just decided to just use a little bit of black. I thought black would just be perfect for everything. So that's what I did. And I just kind of took my time. It really doesn't look like I'm taking my time because, this is all sped up, but I am taking my time. So I went through and I went around everything just like I showed you. And now I'm pulling out some of these beautiful flower doodles that I did on some book pages. And if you haven't seen the video for that, I did record that and it's going to be coming up soon, and you can see exactly how I made those. But oh my goodness, they are so beautiful. Like, I'm totally addicted to making those flowers. and I was so anxious to use them. And so you'll see how I'm using them here. I actually showed a picture of these over in the Facebook group. And if you love junk journaling like we do, also, you can join us over on Facebook at Junk Journal Buddies, and the link will be below also. So I took out my watercolors because I did want this page to have some color. Although I love the background just as it is, I decided to pull out my cheapo depot watercolors. And I said once these watercolors are gone, which y'all have had these for more than a year so far, so it's probably going to take me a while. But once they are done, then I would like to purchase some new watercolors. So that's what I'm saving up for. Some good watercolors for my mixed media. So the idea that I was having was to kind of make the cracks stand out. That's what I was going for. And when I first started putting this paint down, I felt like I wasn't getting that effect. And I was using red, but the red looked kind of orange, and I wasn't really worried about it looking sloppy, but I didn't feel like the lines were coming through. But as I'm looking at it on the replay, I can see where the lines are starting to show through. But, I still wasn't all in. And I wasn't really disappointed. I was just thinking, well, this is going to come out a bit differently than I had expected. But one thing I also noticed is even though it looked a little bit orange and I was using red, as it dried, the color kind of turned red also. And then it was just taking me too long to use my watercolor brush, which is actually, it's a water brush pen. And I'll have a link below to everything that I'm using. And I love those brush pens because they are kind of self-cleaning as well. And so I can just use those and just self-clean them. So I decided to kind of add some purple into this because I kind of like that look, even though it was a little bit orangey. Orange and purple kind of go together. But it was really red. But these are cheapo depot watercolors, and that's kind of what you get when you use cheapo depot watercolors. The colors are a little bit off, but for a novice and a baby watercolorer like myself, this is probably like the perfect palette. I think it only cost me like $5, if that much, because I probably used a coupon on it, and it probably was less than that. So now I am kind of feeling the messiness of the page, and I decided it was like globs of paint everywhere. So I decided to just wipe some off with a baby wipe. And then once I did that, dun, 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 look what I got. I got my cracks, y'all. I got my cracks stood out, and this is what I wanted from the beginning of this little paint job here. I wanted my cracks to stand out, so I was extremely happy once I figured out that the wet wipe would take off that extra paint. And so I really love the way that it looked. Now, because these are watercolors, I knew that if I put any type of liquid on here, then the watercolors, although it's not that much left on the page, I figured it would reactivate. So I wanted to kind of seal in the watercolors, and I did that by painting over it with some matte medium. So matte medium is kind of like a really kind of loose glue. It's not like gesso, where gesso kind of leaves a little bit of a film. It's going to dry clear, and it's just an excellent way to like seal in paint like I did this time. And I love matte medium, and you can glue things down with it too, but I can glue things down with my glue stick and then use that because that one is not as inexpensive as stick glue. Now I took out a piece of deli sheet, and I do have deli paper at pleasantcreations.com if you have trouble finding it. And again, all the links will be below. I used my fine tip Sharpie, and I decided to do some journaling because after all, like I said, this is kind of a mix up for me, or it partners with each other. Junk journaling and junk journaling and art journaling. So I wanted to kind of put a piece in here. And also what I like about this paper is that it's kind of translucent, so you can see beyond it. And I was watching some other junk journalers and they were using like vellum, and I was like, you know what? I have some deli paper. I wonder would or could I get the same effect that vellum would have. Now, I will say the deli paper is it's a bit more opaque than the vellum is, but I still like the effect. I like the sound of the paper. I love the feel of the texture of the paper. Y'all know I'm a textile kind of girl, and I love the texture of the deli paper. And so I decided to use that in this particular instance. So I wanted to use maybe some fabric, or I decided to use this piece of coloring paper, and I used the full page for something else, and I just had like this offcut. And so I decided to put this on the bottom of this paper, but yeah, this was my dilemma. My intention was to put the decorations, these pieces of paper or fabric or whatever I was going to use, at the top of the page. But when I did my journaling, I wrote all the way to the top. So I decided, you know what? Let's be a rule breaker today. We're going to put this at the bottom, but it's going to be the top of the page. Did I just lose you all? Did I confuse you? Okay. This is going to be kind of like an upside down journaling spot when I get finished. Let's just put it that way. And since it's my journal, I can do it any kind of way I want to. And you can do the same thing for your journal. And you know, it's my business. It's my business. If I want things to be upside down, I don't mind. It doesn't bother me a bit. And if you want to do that too, it's your business too. You can steal that idea if you like. So I decided to put it in upside down. Now, I also wanted to use these beautiful doodle flowers that I have here. And I made them with some text pages and just some Sharpie pens, and I used my Cheapo Depot Crayola fine tip markers. That was it. Oh, and then I did do some gold kind of embellishing with my Uniball pens as well. But like I said, that's going to be another video, and I'll show you exactly how I did it. So I'm just using my little school glue, and I'm putting everything down. Now, I am going to admit I took a picture of everything with my telephone when I had it laid down, so that way I could lay things back down sort of semi the way that it was before, because I didn't take the picture with the actual flowers. But remember when I went through and I tried to figure out how I wanted to put everything down? Well, this is how I remembered. I took a picture. And now I'm putting the flowers down. Y'all, I have to stop. This is like stop and smell the flowers type of thing. Let's stop and smell the flowers. Those flowers are like a breath of life on here. They are so beautiful. And again, I just used my stick glue to put it down. And I didn't worry about the background because, you know, it's sealed up with the matte medium and it's dry. So what you all didn't see is when I put that matte medium down over the watercolors, I actually used my heat gun and I dried it. And then I got everything else together afterwards. And that gave it a little bit more time to dry as well. So this piece, I decided I was going to let hang over the side because I don't mind a spot of hangage. A spot of hangage on here. And that flower is my favorite one out of the whole. You know what? I can't even say that. Y'all, I can't even say that because I just love all of those flowers. They are like the bomb diggity. I love them. Look at that. And, you know, and my planetary circles. Because they look like planets. And that might be something I will do in the future is do some planets. That's something to think about. I always wanted to do something like that. You know, something that kind of has like a night sky. And then do something that's kind of planetary, that would be a lot of fun for me. So maybe that's something that will come up in the future. I don't know. We'll see. So I wanted to give the circles a little bit of an outline because they were just kind of out there in the world, but I didn't feel like they had a presence without having an outline. So I took out my gold Uniball pen and I just lightly went around them all and did a bit of a messy kind of circle around the circles. And I think I went around each one of them twice with the lines. And then, of course, I glued all the words back on just as I did. And I am actually looking at my picture so that I can get everything back together. And this page, the words on here they were kind of inspired by like my feelings for that day. You know, I always try to keep myself kind of in a calm state of mind. And I really believe that junk journaling and art journaling kind of keep me in that state of mind. And I'm constantly using, positive mantras and words that remind me to kind of keep that calm state of mind. So you'll hear me say that a lot. Calm state of mind. And just take things easy and live and trust the process and breathe as you're doing it when the colors don't look like they're going to come out, and then in the end they do. And just say yes to the process. And that's how I kind of pick the words. And sometimes I say the words pick me too. So when I open up my word book, everything kind of jumped out at me. And I think that's kind of how the universe works when it comes to junk journaling. So now I have my paper, and I was kind of rethinking if I wanted to put it upside down, but I was like, no, I like the upside down effect. So that's where we're going to go with this. So I took out some of my Tim Holtz Distress Oxide, and this is the only Distress Oxide I have. I wish I could open up a drawer and have like a million colors of Distress Oxide, but this is the only one that I have. So I really haven't been shopping because, we are in the midst of the pandemic. And so I'm not really going out doing too much shopping, or I probably would have more oxides now. Because I always said whenever I go to the craft store, I would just pick up one. That's it. Just one. And if I couldn't use a coupon, I would not pick it up. Or sometimes they're on sale. So I went around the edges with the Distress Oxide to, again, give everything a spot of a frame. And I'm using some double stick tape to put my upside down words down. And I'm only going to adhere the top. Now, I don't usually use the stick glue on the deli paper, but I have found that it does work. But I just wanted this page so I could just flip this up and down anytime I want to, because I don't know about you all. Sometimes I take my journals to bed with me and I just flip through the pages and interact with everything that's in there. I don't really read the journaling. Do you all go back and read your journaling? Let me know in the comments. Do you go back and read your journaling after it's in your book? I don't. I write it and it's gone for me. So even if it's messy and I can't read it, I don't really care, because once I write it, it's kind of a wrap for me. Yeah, I love the way this page is coming out. And I just kind of sat with it for a moment and just kind of let it kind of speak to me. And I just kind of figured out where I wanted to put my little dots at here and there. And then I took out my white Posca pen, and I decided to add even more embellishments on my lovely flowers, because they are, y'all, those flowers are so stinking cute. But I wanted this one to kind of jump off of the page. So I decided to just kind of go around it and make the outline a little bit different, and then kind of fill things in a bit Mandela style here. And I put some wonderful dots in here. I love that I did that. And that gave that flower even more character. Don't y'all think? Y'all have to say the favorite part of this layout has to be the flowers for you, because it is for me. So I want to thank you all for joining me. I had a ton of fun doing this layout, and I would love to know what's your favorite part. I know it's the flowers. Let me know in the comments. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and say love, peace, and hair grease from your sweet lotus blossom and lovable Lizzie. Have a fantabulous day and enjoy life.